Oh, I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Oh, I tell you what I want, what you really, really want. So I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Oh, I tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I really, 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 really want a zig. Ah. Yeah. What? Mitä? What? You mean the video has been leaked? Oh my god, what'll I do? Hang on, I know. I am a human being. In the midst of the crisis, I have been thinking about Ukraine and all of you. I too am a human being, and I too sometimes long for joy, light, and fun amidst these dark clouds. Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Jolly Heretic. Now, today, I would like to talk about the Finnish Prime Minister, Sanna Marin.
Before we start, I'd just like to say a word about our sponsor, and that is Atlas VPN. Now, here's the situation, chaps. We are all truth seekers here at the Jolly Heretic Public House. We all want to know the truth about the world, and the only way we can do that is if we get lots of different perspectives, lots of alternative perspectives. And we are in a situation where we cannot get that. The internet is censored, everything is censored, and we literally cannot get the other side with regard to certain important events that are happening in the world because of the way that they censor the internet. So the only thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, is to use a VPN. And Atlas VPN is currently running a huge discount. It means you can get a 3-month subscription for just $1.83 a month plus 3 months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And so time is running out, so it's worth looking into, really. There's lots and lots of benefits to this. Not only is that you've got that deal, but you can unlock your favourite content from all over the world, you know, shows from Friends or whatever it is you like using Atlas VPN. You can keep your Google searches private. They make sure that your results aren't tracked and so forth. You can stop ads and malware. It's more than just a VPN. It blocks malicious links and ads and so forth, and it notifies you when someone's trying to steal your data. And you can save money online. It notifies you of the best deals, and it can protect unlimited devices. So it seems to be a jolly good idea. And as I say, they've currently got this campaign where it's just $1.83 a month. So, you know, it's worth thinking about. $1.83 a month for a 3-year subscription, plus 3 months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Time is running out, so, you know, it's certainly worth looking into. So as a person that is in favour of the truth and wants as much, as many different perspectives as possible and is finding these blocked by our current system, I think getting a VPN is worth doing. And as far as I can see, Atlas VPN is where it's at, chaps.
Now, when she first became Prime Minister, I did a video about her in which I noted in detail how she was a fast life history strategist, and it strikes me that has been borne out by events in a fairly major way. You may remember, with regard to life history strategy, that we all sit on a spectrum from fast to slow. A fast life history strategist is a person who is evolved to an unstable yet easy environment in which they are evolved to live fast and die young. Such an environment selects in favour of impulsivity. It selects in favour of having as much sex with as many fit people as possible in the hope that some of your genes survive. It doesn't select against mental instability to any particular degree, so people are mentally unstable, and so on. As we move towards an environment which is harsh yet competitive, then if you simply invest nothing in your offspring, invest all your energy in sex, then all of your offspring will simply die. So energy is moved away from sex and is moved towards nurture. Such people have a small number of offspring and invest a great deal in them. You are more likely to survive in such an ecology if you are low in mental instability, allowing you to cooperate and get on with people. You are more likely to survive if you are high in agreeableness, making you highly cooperative. You are more likely to survive if you are high in impulse control. That is the fast, slow life history strategy spectrum. And I did a video in which I showed that she was basically a fast life history strategist. Well, I want to develop that today, and I want to look at her more specifically. And I want to argue that Sanna Marin is in fact what we will call a vulnerable narcissist, and that it says a great deal about Finland that this fragile, vulnerable narcissist has been able to become Prime Minister. Finland is a country, as I've explored in my book, The Silent Rape Epidemic, How the Finns Were Groomed to Love Their Abusers. in which there is an intense, almost Northeast Asian sense of shame. They are evolved to this freezing ecology in which you survive because cooperation is everything, and this means you are high in social anxiety. And you also suffer from a kind of national low self-esteem, because one of the correlates of being high in agreeableness, of being highly cooperative, is that you have low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, you are more likely, in a sense, to do things for the good of the group rather than think about yourself, to be group-oriented. So Finns seem to care deeply even fear what as far as they're concerned, are the important nations of the world think about them. They are a small nation. They very rarely make the headlines. And so when they do, of course, it sticks, and it sticks in a fairly major way. And what will stick in the international mind in the wake of Sanna Marin's antics is that you have this hedonistic, insecure young prime minister who has been naive enough to dance with celebrities and to allow herself being filmed doing so, and to basically kind of shame the nation and make the nation look bad. Now, the question that this raises is, why is it so extreme in Finland? I think that something like this has not happened in Norway, it's not happened in Denmark, and I think it's with good reason. And this is because Finnish people are evolved to such an extreme degree to this cold yet stable ecology, and they are therefore so high in agreeableness, they are so high in conscientiousness, they are so high in social anxiety, which makes them want to conform, and they are so low in psychopathic traits that that they are highly conservative, and it takes a long time for changes to reach the society. Finland was much more nationalistic and right-wing and racist for much longer than was Norway or Sweden or Denmark. But when the tipping point of 20% or whatever, when the tipping point is reached, then it sweeps through the society at breakneck speed, and everybody conforms very quickly. Because in an ecology like that, there simply aren't the high-functioning psychopaths that there would be in Denmark or Norway to stand in the way, to stand up against it. So it sweeps through the society, and because I think perhaps of the insecurity of Finns and the social anxiety about what other nations think of them, they kind of overcompensate for their insecurity about being different, their insecurity about being late to the party, by really going for it, by becoming either as nationalistic as they can possibly be in a romantic nationalist context, or as woke and multiculturalist as they can possibly be. Now, this helps to explain why the level of Finnish genius is relatively low. Finland has the highest IQ in Europe, at about 103, but it has a level of per capita genius that is on a par with Japan, or on a par with Romania, or on a par with, not on a par basically, with countries like Sweden and Norway. Why is this, considering that Finns are much more intelligent than us? Why is this? Well, what the genius is, as I've looked at before, is a person that has outlier high IQ combined with moderately psychopathic traits. Obviously, in an ecology like this, the moderately psychopathic traits are selected out, because the flip side of the high IQ sub-psychopath is the low IQ sub-psychopath, i.e. the criminal. And this would be so dangerous to a highly cooperative kind of ecology. So that's out. Secondly, because it's so cold and so harsh, they are evolved very, very narrowly to the environment, so you get a small gene pool, so you don't get outliers. So you don't get people with outlier high IQ. So you don't get these geniuses. You don't get these people that rock the boat, that question the system and stand in the way of change. And so this is why leftist ideologies have swept through at breakneck speed with no one questioning it, and it is why so quickly Finland was able to enter this rather unusual situation of what a friend of mine referred to as the Spice Girl government, where all of the major leaders of the coalition, with Sanna Marin as Prime Minister, were women under the age of 30, and in some cases, a fair bit, under the age of 40, and in some cases, a fair bit under the age of 40, and in the case of Sanna Marin, 34 years old when she became Prime Minister. Now, some people might say, well, she's inexperienced or whatever, but if you get yourself into a hysteria like this, where you become so extreme in wokeness in order to compensate for your sort of national low self-esteem about being left out and about being Sweden's ugly sister and all this kind of thing, svenska folk, patta folk, folk, then you can see how this kind of hysteria would happen, and somebody like Sanna Marin would end up being elected deputy leader of the Social Democrats, and then in a context in which the leader had to go for various reasons, became prime minister. So it's a reflection, I think, of something of the nature of Finland that this was able to happen. And in fact, one of the second most important person in the government, Katri Kulmuni, very quickly had to resign due to accusations that she'd used public money, which, I mean, in the end this was blamed on a civil servant, but that she'd used public money in order to get lessons to improve her public speaking. Now, even if she wasn't guilty of doing this, it implies a naivety, it implies an over-promotion. And this is, of course, what we're seeing with Sanna Marin. It's quite clear that she has been over-promoted. But before we look at the and this is why all this stuff has come out, as anyone would have predicted would eventually happen. But before we look at the psychology of Sanna Marin, let's look at what exactly has happened. On the 17th of August, a TikTok video was published in which Sanna Marin and a bunch of left-wing celebrities, pop singers, whatever in Finland, were drunkenly dancing. This had apparently happened in the weekend of the 7th of August. You see her dancing in a sexually provocative manner. You see her on her knees with her hands behind her head with a sort of sexual look on her face. Her friends refer to themselves as this Finnish term. You see it on here. Jauhojengi. Jauhojengi. It means jauho is powder or flour, and it refers to cocaine. You see them swearing. You see them singing boisterous, unpleasant, nasty songs and whatever. So this is what was going on. Now, she responded by saying that she had behaved in a boisterous way and that she'd done, in her words, perfectly legal things. And I've never been in a situation where I've used drugs. I have a family life. I have a work life. And I have free time to spend with my friends, pretty much as anybody of my age would. Well, I think that's not true. How many mothers of 36 would go out partying drunkenly like this and behave in this kind of manner? How many prime ministers of any age would allow themselves to be filmed behaving like this? Wouldn't it undermine their credibility? Wouldn't it make them look bad? Doesn't it show a certain naivety to Sanna Marin or a certain desire, I don't know, to be liked by these celebrities, something like this? But anyway, she says, I am going to be exactly the same person as I've always been until now, and I hope it will be accepted. Well, no, I'm afraid you can't. You can't be even if you were a school teacher, you probably wouldn't go out and get completely pissed in a pub relatively close to where you were working in case it made you look bad in the eyes of parents that might see you. And this is a person that is the Prime Minister of the country. So she is basically humiliating a country, shaming a country that is very high in shame anyway, that intensely feels a sense of shame. So I'm not sure that quite works. But when I saw the video originally, I thought it must be some amazing deep fake. I couldn't believe, particularly considering that she'd gone clubbing in December, having come into contact with someone with COVID-19, and couldn't be contacted and told that was the case. I couldn't believe that she would do this again. I couldn't believe she would take such a risk. But if you're a fast life history strategist, of course, you do take risks. Then on the 19th of August, in the Seiska, which is the sort of gossip tabloid, from the evening of the 6th of August, it emerged she'd been in a public Helsinki nightclub with a Finnish pop star called Olavi Uusivirta, and he seems to be dancing in a kind of sexual manner with her and kissing her neck. On the 22nd of August, a video came to light of her dancing again in a sort of sexual way with a prominent Finnish model called Sabina Sarka. Then on the 23rd of August, it came to light that at July's Rus Rock Festival, she had invited some friends to have to her official summer residence, which is known as Kesäranta, to have sauna, to swim and spend time together. And two of them had taken their tops off and taken a photograph of themselves bare-breasted with the word Finland in English covering one of their pair of breasts, snogging. And this was then published online, and she had allowed these kinds of people to come to Finland's to the Prime Minister's equivalent of, the Finnish equivalent of checkers, and to behave in this way. Now, in the wake of this furore, opposition parties demanded that she take a drug test, which she did, and of course she was found negative, and she did this speech that I mentioned earlier, where she sort of cried a little bit and whatever. But why would she do something like that? Why would she behave like this? What kind of person is Sanna Marin? Well, again, vulnerable narcissist. Her father was an alcoholic. Her mother, who she was put into care when she was very young. She was then taken out of care and raised by her mother and her mother's lesbian partner in poverty by Finnish standards. She scraped through school. She got very bad results in her Lukio exams. She had to work in a baker's while she was at school and while she was at university. So basically, it's not the best start in life. And you could argue that from a genetic perspective, we've looked at the correlates of fast life history strategy, alcoholism, poor impulse control, that sort of thing. We've got a fast life history strategist. And from a environmental perspective, you've got the world telling her at a very young and very formative age that the world is a dangerous and unstable place, and that you are of low status within it, and that you are nothing. Now, she came to prominence when she was a member of the council in Tampere, where she speaks in this fake deep voice, which I tried to channel earlier. She doesn't speak like that in English, by the way, normally, in which she dominates Tampere City Council. She becomes an MP, and very quickly after that, a few years later, she becomes Prime Minister. Now, being left-wing is in itself associated, as I've looked at before, with narcissism. If you crave praise, if you crave people liking you, then in a broadly left-wing society, it makes sense that a narcissistic person will be left-wing, because they will get what they want, they will get praise. Being left-wing also correlates with Machiavellianism, wanting power. This makes sense because if you see society as a dangerous, sort of unstable, stable place, you will want power for yourself. But if you have, low self-esteem, if you fear those around you, then you may fear conflict, and so you will covertly play for status via signalling how moral you are. But nevertheless, and also perhaps having power reassures you that you're good, reassures you that you're okay. So, and in the context of being left-wing in a left-wing society, a route to power is by being left-wing. Now, we also know that being left-wing is associated with neuroticism, with feeling negative feelings strongly, such as envy. Left-wing people are evolved to unstable, dangerous ecology. They see the ecology as a dangerous, unpleasant place. This makes you status hungry. It means you have to look after yourself. But if you perceive yourself as weak, then you will use covert tactics such as virtue signaling, signaling about the disadvantaged and whatever to attain power. And that is what left-wing people do. So if you are a vulnerable, you can see how someone like Sanna would deal with her situation by being a vulnerable narcissist. She would cope with the negative feelings she has, both for genetic reasons and because of this terrible start in life, by telling herself that she is good, that she is brilliant, that she is wonderful, that she is special. But the real her will always leak through. Imagine what it is like to be Sanna Marin. Your early life, poverty, time spent in care has told you the world is an unstable, dangerous place, and you are low down in it, and you have to struggle, and you are nothing. Your father is an alcoholic. You deal with this by telling yourself that you're good. But you go over the top, you overcompensate. You take all the sexy selfies, which she is notorious for doing. You try to exude confidence and power. You put on this deep voice to make yourself seem more powerful. You go for positions of power because having positions of power make you feel more confident that you are somebody and make up for the fragile sense of self that there is. But you don't really the sense of self of this dangerous, unstable place, this dark world. But you don't feel wonderful. You constantly crave reassurance. You take, therefore, damaging risks in order to attain the love of these Finnish celebrities who have power, and you look up to them because you look up to power, because you ultimately are power hungry and an individualist. You, as you see with her across time, you lose a great deal of weight. She's lost so much weight while she's been in office, and anorexia is a well-known correlate of neuroticism. You don't feel you're in control of the world, so therefore at least you feel you're in control of what you're eating, or you feel bad about your appearance, and so you want to make yourself thinner and thinner and thinner. You try to control your fears with obsessive behaviour. She's talked about how she has to constantly clean her house, how she has to constantly clean her feet. She has this obsessive behaviour to take control of an unstable, dangerous world, but she doesn't feel it. And so she craves the love of these celebrity types, such that she's prepared to humiliate herself, and in doing so humiliate her country, sexually dancing with UBERSOY.mcserver.at, this pop star, and all these people, they just see it as funny. They don't really care about her. They just see it as amusing and hilarious that they've got the Prime Minister of Finland dancing with them and wanting to be with them. It's hilarious for them. But for her, she gets something out of it. She gets a reassurance. She gets a feeling that she's good, that she's wonderful, that she's important. But it's never enough, because ultimately there is this sense of abandonment, this sense of an unstable world that is deep at the heart of it. And she's a vulnerable narcissist, and that is how she has learnt to cope with her life. And I've lived in Finland for 2 decades almost. And as I say, they have this strong sense of shame, and particularly the girls with the bare-breasted kissing, whatever, has evoked this. And they really go for it, and they've really gone for it by turning over to extreme wokeism. But I think Finns should ask them, Finns that want to say, I mean, it was trending on Twitter yesterday, Eroa Sanna Marin, it translates as something like leave Sanna Marin, divorce Sanna Marin, Sanna Marin must go, something like that, Sanna Marin must go. But Finns should ask themselves, to what extent are they complicit in this? To what extent is it kind of their fault? To what extent is she a reflection of the nature of their society? Because I can't see this happening in Britain. I can't see us ever going so extreme that someone like that, this vulnerable, narcissist, fragile little girl who has never quite grown up and who thinks she can carry on living the life of an 18-year-old when she's married and 36, and who is so insecure and so risk-taking that she likes hanging around with celebrities and partying with them and just allowing herself to be filmed just to impress them, and it leaks out and she's humiliated and her country is kind of humiliated. I can't see that happening in many other countries, but it's happened in Finland. And it says a great deal, I think, about a society that is evolved to this extreme, harsh yet stable ecology, and now finds itself in an evolutionary mismatch, and now finds its people like her in an evolutionary mismatch, not placed along an adaptive roadmap of life. It says so much about Finland that Sanna Marin could be Prime Minister, and then the real Sanna Marin has, of course, inevitably come out. Well, I hope this is a bit of interest. If it has, please subscribe and so on, and goodbye!
Hello, hello, hello! The Jolly Heretic is an online public house which meets on Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York, in which we discuss the kind of based, fearless science which is increasingly expunged from our woke, joke universities. If you would like to help the Jolly Heretic public house, and there are many ways you can do so, please, please, please become one of my patrons on Subscribestar. Also, if you want to, you can donate to the channel using Odysee and Entropy, and you can also purchase Jolly Heretic merchandise, such as shirts and mugs. All of the links are in the description. Again, I'd be most violently grateful if you could assist the Jolly Heretic Public House, and I will see you all soon, and goodbye!